And welcome back to another episode of Around the Bases. Grant Wall joined by Winona State softball coach Greg Jones. And Coach, we're getting to that time of the year. It's the postseason conference tournament starts Thursday, hosted by Augustan out there in Sioux Falls. And this is the time of year that everybody plays for and everybody gets ready for. And I know that you're ready to go, chomping at the bit to get some games going.
We are. I learned a long time ago when I first got here, Coach Sawyer, our football coach, said, get hot, stay hot. And that's really what it's about this time of year. And we've had pretty good success over the years in the postseason, the conference tournament. The one thing we found, it's a year-by-year thing. You don't know. You can have a great team and go out there and get beat twice. You can have a questionable team and get on a roll. And it really, at this point, the conference is so close and so competitive. It's going to be such a great tournament, and anybody can win it. Absolutely,
and your first-round draw comes against Mankato. You're the 5 seed, which I think speaks to how deep this conference is. You've been ranked in the top 10 nationally for most of the season and end up with the 5 seed conference tournament time. We'll go against number 4 seeded Minnesota State. That's a matchup. There's a lot of great history between the two programs. They've gotten your number 3 of the 4 times you played this year, but that has to be a game that you're kind of looking towards and saying this is one that we know we can get and we need to go get it to get some momentum going.
I think the first round matchup, the good part about it for us is there's no mystery. We've played Mankato. This will be our 11th time in 2 years. They know everything about us. We know everything about them. So we know what to prepare for going in. Obviously, they know what to prepare for on our end. It's just going to come down to a game of who executes better on Thursday morning. If we execute the game well, we'll have a chance to win it. If they execute the game better than us, they're probably going to beat us. And I tend to think that's what's happened, over this course of these last 2 years. If they've really just outplayed us, it's a good matchup for us because of the familiarity. It's a tough matchup for us because of the familiarity. We try to preach to our kids continually, don't play your opponent, just play the game. It's a 12-inch ball. If you see it, hit it. If it's hit at you, field it. And don't get caught up in the uniforms and the colors and the names and that type of thing. For some reason, Mankato has really truly had our number. That goes to credit to their institution and their coaching staff and their program. It's a great team. They're not where they are and having the success they have without beating some good teams. So we're going to have to play well. We'll see what happens.
You mentioned get hot, stay hot. Do you do, as a coaching staff, do you do anything differently come this time of year to maybe help get hot and then help stay hot?
I hope a lot more. There's not much you can do. I really feel that I think it's important to do the same thing you've always done. I think that if we start to change now, our kids will react differently to change than maybe we want them to. So we try to take the same approach in practice every day. We're just trying to get a little bit better every single day. It's the hard part about practicing now is there's the feeling of drudgery. It's just over and over again. They're going through tests. They're going through the last couple weeks of school. They don't know if they're going to practice or not practice because of the weather or what the schedule is. Whereas it's really easy to practice in January and February because it's all we have, they come out so fired up to play early in the season because they're just happy to be playing. We're down the end and down the stretch, the games are just more games. And so hopefully there's a renewal in their energy just because now it's tournament time. But again, that's more hope than anything. We'll see how they come out. But we just try to prepare them the same way every day, try to make them a little bit better every day. I don't believe in there being a bigger game than another game. I just think you have to play every game for itself. You have to execute your game and see how it goes. So in the past, that's worked for us. Hopefully it continues to.
We've talked all year long with you about how well your offense is rolling, the different players who are putting up just great statistical numbers this year. And as we wrap up the season and are working on, I know both you and I are nominating players for postseason awards. As we've been going through these lists, the Warriors have two players, Molly Link and Kathy Crudo, who any other year would be shoo-ins to be Conference Player of the Year because of what they've done. And this year, there's 5 or 6 names that are putting up just fantastic offensive numbers, and that speaks, like we talked about a little bit before, just how good this conference is right now.
It is, and I would throw in Molly Bjelland and Kim Wacholder out of our program as well. The years that those kids are having, 2 through 5 in our order, the numbers are really impressive. And then Callie in the 6th spot. I spoke on the phone today to the conference coaches. He's only struck out like 2 times all year in the conference. That's an amazing number, and especially for Callie, who early in her career struck out more. And she's really, to her credit, worked a lot on her contact and become such a great hitter. And so I still love our offense. I'll put our offense up against anybody. But what is absolutely amazing to me is how offensive this conference has become. And listening to other coaches talk today, it's like, wow, that's really impressive. And I don't know who will become the player of the year in the league. That's up to the coaches to vote on, and we can't control it. But we know our kids did a great job putting themselves in a position to get that award. We'll see how it plays out. But I would, when it comes down to going into battle, I wouldn't trade any of our kids for anybody else in the league.
Oh, and we'll talk to one of those players who's having a great year, Kathy Crudo, here in a little bit. But you mentioned Kim Walkholder, someone who has flown a little bit under the radar. Kathy and Molly have gotten a lot of the attention. Kim's riding a 13-game hit streak right now, which is just fantastic for her and in her first year with the Warriors. It is,
and she's got a great approach at the plate. She's very confident and she's very patient. I think she leads us in walks. She doesn't get herself out, and that's what she does. I think better than anybody on our program. She grinds out her at bats. She makes the pitcher earn every pitch she throws. She works deep counts all the time, so she's able to eventually turn the at bat into her favor. And I just love watching her approach from the third base coach's box. And it's something we've talked about as coaches on how can we try to incorporate this more into some of our other kids. But hitters are who they are, sometimes mentally and physically. But Kim has a great approach, and I agree has really been under the radar, but had a big weekend for us, or big week, all told for us last week.
And another one of your players who's really, she might be in the 9 spot batting, but she's really been a table setter, allowing Molly and Kathy to get a lot of RBI opportunities is Brooke Petrowski, who's been just a constant presence on base, batting almost 370 this year as a freshman.
Yeah, Brooke's had a great year, and I think Brooke has really gone unrecognized by a lot of the, whether it be the pundits or the other coaches, that of the success that she's had, and not an extra base hit to speak of. Everything's a base hit or a bunt hit, and she's made some incredible diving plays in the outfield and played some great defense for us in left field. But you look at our 2, 3, 4 hitters are all in the top 5 or 6 in the league in RBIs. Well, that doesn't happen if we're not getting on base with Brooke and Dallas ahead of them, and Brooke has done a great job of that. And as a freshman, to really respond to that, and she'll have a bigger role next year. She'll have to step into that leadoff spot more than likely next year when Dallas graduates. Dallas has been able to hold that down this year and has done a great job at it. But Brooke has certainly earned the opportunity to have that next year, and has had a great season this year.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward to seeing this offense and what it can do in the conference tournament coming up this weekend, and then the regional play beyond that as well. When we come back here on Around the Bases, I'll sit down with Kathy Crudo, talk about that monster year that she's having both as a catcher and at the plate for the Warriors.
The Warrior Club is the fundraising arm for Winona State University that helps students like me succeed in the classroom and on the court.
By donating $100 or more, you can become a member of the Warrior Club and help Winona State student-athletes achieve the extraordinary. Call 507-457-2705 or visit WinonaStateWarriors.com. Every member.
Welcome back to Around the Bases, joined now by Warrior catcher Kathy Crudo. And Kathy, this has been a really busy last couple weeks, but especially this week. Not only are you preparing for the conference tournament that's going to be hosted by Augustana this weekend, but also going through finals. I know how important the student-athlete part of being in college is to not only you, but the rest of the softball team. How do you balance getting ready for an important tournament like the NSIC Tournament, as well as going through finals and finishing up your semester strong?
I think just communication and really getting ahead on your schoolwork, especially early on in the season when pretty much just practicing for a month and a half before we even get to play, and then so make sure we're getting ahead and doing those final projects ahead of time and staying up to date with our teachers and letting them know when games do get canceled and when they're moved to, and just really hoping that they'll be able to be flexible with you.
And the teachers here are pretty good about understanding your schedule and understanding some of your demands and working with you to make sure that everything goes okay for you, right?
Yeah, they're very flexible. I mean, I just had to take one today, which I was supposed to take on Thursday, and no problem at all. He set the normal amount of time for me, so that was nice, and just communicated with him the whole year so he didn't think that I was flaking out.
Mm-hmm. And now that you mentioned that you had your final of the semester earlier today, now that that's all over, you don't have to worry about classwork here. Is that a weight off your shoulders and you can just, all right, when I wake up in the morning, I can think softball and just get ready for that?
Yeah, it's definitely nice for, I mean, not so much just me, but people that are even graduating, because I'm only a junior. It's nice for those guys to just finally chill out and completely focus on the field and not have their mind worried about something else.
And as much as splitting your attention between the ball field and the classroom could be a problem, it certainly hasn't been a problem for you this year, having just an absolute monster season, batting over 460, the home runs, the RBIs. What has enabled you to have such a huge season like this?
I mean, just a lot of hard work and I think more concentration on what exactly I'm doing and just having experience and knowing, you know, the college program and exactly what it is going to take. So,
your first 2 years saw a lot of playing time and put up some very good numbers. But what did you do anything differently in the off season before your junior year that's allowed you to take this jump?
I mean, as much as I don't want to say this, but I think I worked harder in the weight room and more focused there, and I really just became more patient at the plate and really seeing the ball and just putting more power behind it each swing.
You lead the conference in batting average. You're also right up there in RBIs, and I suppose you have Molly and Molly to thank for that.
Yeah, definitely.
The two hitters in front of you seem to be on base just about as much as you are.
Yeah, they're awesome. I mean, just surrounded by, you know, hitting is contagious, and to have those guys constantly on and just see them out there knowing, you know, like, take this at bat for them. You know, they give everybody in the lineup encouragement. You know, I can do it, you can do it, we all do the same thing. It's just nice to have them out there, and I thank them for all those RBIs.
And it seems like we talk to everybody that we have up here on the show. We talk about just how balanced this lineup is and how there's not an easy out. Talk to that effect. You know, even though you're batting in the 4 spot, there are people batting in the 5, 6, 7 spot that when you get on base are sending you home as well. There's just not a breath for an opposing pitcher in this lineup.
Right. Definitely have a very confident offensive lineup, and just the way everybody goes in there, takes their at-bat. You know, there's never anybody that's questioning them. Everybody has them 100%. No one's thinking, okay, this might, you know, no opposing pitchers taking anybody lightly, which causes a lot of stress for them, which can obviously relate to some walks and freakouts out there.
Absolutely. And you kind of get to see the opposite end of the coin as well, playing catcher, managing the Winona State pitching staff, and you've gotten Stacy Straczynski, if I can get that out, gotten her back into the lineup a couple times last week. Courtney Strang has been the workhorse all year, providing so many good innings. Speak to how good this pitching staff is and where they can take you if they get hot this postseason. Yeah,
they're definitely awesome. They all work hard. They've all put in numerous hours, even outside of just the playing field. They're in the pool for us. They're doing those extra workouts, and you know, they're both battling a couple injuries, but they're definitely competitors, and we're behind them 100% when they're out there.
Absolutely.
So it's nice.
And going forward, conference tournament starts on Thursday. You draw Minnesota State in the first round Thursday morning, 10 o'clock there, hosted by Augustana in Sioux Falls. What do you have to do? I know Minnesota State got you 3 out of the 4 times this season. What do you have to do to kind of get over that hump this year and advance into the second round?
All right. Coach talks about it a lot. Like, don't play the opposing team. Like, the game doesn't know who's better. The game doesn't know who's supposed to win. And just for us to really seriously focus about it, not just talk about it, but actually be about it and know that we can, number-wise, we are better and we can take them, and just come out there, play every game like it could potentially be the last one. Do it for seniors, do it for everyone there, and just know that, that they're just another team, and bring them out.
Yep, go get them.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a fun weekend, that's for sure. And then next week, the regional tournament as well. Just a reminder, Thursday, 10 a.m. is the Warriors' opening round game of the NSIC Tournament. And you'll be able to see updates throughout the weekend on WinonaStateWarriors.com as the Warrior softball team makes their march through this conference tournament. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll be back here next week on Around the Bases.